Alright guys, whenever you're ready, okay?
Okay. Have you ever been in a public place, for example Walmart, and heard a family in the other aisle speaking a language you didn't know? Could be Spanish, Chinese, or even Hindi. Have you ever wished you could understand them? This is why I strongly believe raising your children to be bilingual in Spanish and English can be beneficial for everyone in future generations. This is relevant because as the United States progresses, everyone is exposed to Hispanic culture as well as their language. We see more and more of this every day, therefore instead of fighting it, we could embrace it. Next slide. Teaching the younger generations to be bilingual can be beneficial for both parties involved. It opens more opportunities for those of Hispanic heritage, takes Americans to accept the Spanish language, and leads generations to greater things. In order to understand the issue and how to solve it, we will need to take a look at the very root of the issue. Spanish-speaking citizens and immigrants do not have equal rights and options as U.S. citizens. Those who migrate to America have a harder time finding their place here, and it often takes many years for them to get on their feet. Ryan Halliwell writes about the city governor of Fort Wayne, Indiana, Palmer Galindo. What he did know were the challenges that came with being a stranger to his new community, country, and language. Galindo was originally from Guatemala and came to the U.S. at a very young age. It took him many years to be able to understand the English language in order to get where he is as the city governor. They are often unable to apply for the same jobs and educational needs. More often than not, those who come to the U.S. illegally or even legally feel completely out of place. A leading cause of this is the language barrier. Next slide, please. Next slide. You can imagine how hard it is for someone who doesn't speak English to get a job when it is expected that the workers know English. This is why Hispanic people work behind the scenes as gardeners and in kitchens, etc. They accept the lowest paying jobs because it is the only option we allow them. The U.S. has also made it nearly impossible for undocumented citizens to get an education. Next slide, please. These migrants work in harsh conditions day after day to provide for their families despite the poor pay, and their children often go to understaffed schools or schools with little resources that suffer from underfunding and overcrowding. The students then often struggle with English because they don't have the option to speak it at home. It is a sad fact that undocumented citizens work so hard only to be stopped by a language barrier that they don't really have a chance to fix. As time continues, the use of Spanish grows. This is important because many citizens are unaware of how quick Spanish is catching up to English. Halliwell, in his article, How Language Fits into the Migration Issue, shared the statistics from a 2010 census that in 21 states, the limited English population grew by more than 25% over the last decade. In my eyes, this means that the Hispanic group of limited English speakers grew, therefore Hispanic-only speakers have started picking up on English phrases and words. Someone who is bilingual would be able to communicate with over half of the world since Spanish, next slide please, since Spanish is the second language used in the U.S. and third in the world. Therefore, many new doors open for bilingual children. It allows people to expose themselves to the possibility of success in a very degrading world. Professor Chang wrote in a 2016 article, with 387 million native speakers, more people on earth speak Spanish than English. The opportunities for Spanish speakers across the globe are endless. Next slide, please. Bilingual children can benefit themselves in more ways than just career fields. According to a study by Veronica Varian and Anthony Shook in their 2012 article, The Cognitive Benefits of Being Bilingual, they stated, researchers have shown that the bilingual brain can have better attention and task switching capacities than the monolingual brain. Research has also shown that there are many health benefits that come with these ideas. One is that it can increase language and problem-solving skills and creative thinking. Introducing the destruction of this language barrier can not only benefit each person individually, but it can expose Americans with Hispanic stature in their ways. Allowing children to learn Spanish can result in the acceptance of new cultures into our daily lives and slowly stop discrimination. Has anyone heard of Dia de los Muertos? Okay, for those who haven't, Dia de los Muertos is a Hispanic holiday the where Spanish speakers, they create altars and they can put pictures of their past loved ones up, and they decorate it with their favorite colors, their favorite foods. And on Dia de los Muertos, those who have passed over are allowed to return to Earth and spend the day with their families and take things back from the altars. And it's just a day to celebrate the dead. Accepting holidays like this, it allows us to acknowledge that they are people too and deserve as much freedom to live and celebrate their beliefs as we do. It opens our eyes to understand them and their want to be part of our communities. It is statistically proven that learning English is harder for non-English speakers because there are no patterns involved. Having children grow up bilingual can take the pressure off of Spanish immigrants or their Hispanic American children from translating for their parents instead of worrying about school and education. Undocumented adults do not have as much opportunity to learn the English language as a child would. These kids then take English classes and eventually become a fluent bilingual citizen, and therefore have to translate for daily activities. Understanding the world we are currently living in is a big way to understand other things on this earth, but accepting it is a better opportunity to be successful and happy with your life. In conclusion, throughout this speech, I presented to you the idea, next slide, that raising bilingual children can open more opportunities for those of Hispanic heritage, show Americans to accept the Spanish language, and lead generations to greater things. The world is always changing, evolving, and developing. It is time for us to get on board and accept the idea that ideas like this may become the new normal in our lives.